from Chopper 9. Toxic smoke is billowing from the area.
Residents warned to stay inside.
I drove through the cloud of it. It definitely irritated my throat, my chest, and my lungs and stuff.
A massive chemical fire triggers evacuations, shutting down the port of Metro Vancouver.
Also tonight, trying to steal your identity.
I'm really hating these guys.
The police bus that will leave you speechless. And
it's probably going to be in the future one of the best plays in Canada.
The two local up-and-coming athletes
accused of killing a Good Samaritan.
This is CTV News with Tamara Taggart and Mike Killeen.
A large chemical fire at the Port of Vancouver has been sending heavy smoke across much of the city since just after 2 this afternoon.
The situation has triggered evacuations and warnings for people downwind to go inside and close their windows. Rail operations, including the West Coast Express, have also been shut down as a precaution.
It's happening here in the middle of the container terminal at the heart of the busy port that dominates the Vancouver waterfront. The smoke has the Vancouver Fire Department warning people living north of First Avenue and east of Main Street to be especially careful.
Good evening. We're covering this story in the air and from the ground.
Let's begin with CTV's Penny Daflos live at the north end of Main Street tonight. Penny, this broke out at about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Are firefighters making any progress?
Well, they certainly are, Mike. You can see there are 3 large jets of water right now, still targeting a single container that was buried deep amongst other containers. Investigators still aren't sure exactly what happened, but some sort of fire started, and a massive plume of gray smoke just started billowing from this area. Firefighters forced to form a defensive attack against this fire. 65 firefighters in this 4-alarm fire. They were working on it for upwards of 3 hours before we started seeing some progress against that smoke. Around 4:30 this afternoon, that was the real turning point. Fire chiefs tell me that it has been too dangerous for them to get too close, and they have simply had to let this one start burning itself out, to wait for the chemical that's inside to just incinerate itself. And as it's been burning, it's been feeding itself with oxygen, and that's part of why it continued. And not only that, they've had a challenge with water in this area. They had to bring in some pumper vessels to bring in water from the harbor to pump water onto this fire because there aren't a lot of fire hydrants in this area. Here's Chief Dan Wood with a little bit more information about the chemical that's inside.
This particular chemical that's burning here today is a respiratory irritant. That being said, we want you to take all precautions to keep your windows closed, and if you have a respiratory condition, that you get yourself into a position where you won't be in the smoke itself. We have set up a perimeter of about 800 meters for evacuation for safety purposes. And we'd ask those people that are in the evacuation zone to adhere to VPD's recommendations to stay back.
So a really stubborn fire, Penny. Any idea how long it will take to put it out completely?
No, and actually firefighters aren't quite sure either, and that's why they continue to pour water on this thing to try to snuff it out. As I said, it's only originated in that one container, but several containers around it were heavily damaged as well. We're not sure if that's contributing at this point. Investigators haven't been able to get in close enough to try to figure out why this started either. They're pretty sure that it wasn't dropped or jostled because it was buried amongst the other containers like that. They don't know, was this an issue of a leak? Did it originate inside or outside the container? These are all answers that they're trying to get to. Some encouraging signs, though, within the last hour or so, we've seen a number of Vancouver police leaving the area. No lights, no sirens, so it seems that this is dying down, and hopefully investigators can get in there soon and get some answers, Tamara.
Okay, I know you're staying on scene, Penny, so we'll check back in with you in a few minutes.
Let's continue our coverage now with CTV's Scott Hurst. He's live on Powell Street tonight. Scott, what's the situation for residents downwind from the port fire?
Mike, for residents downwind, they're being urged to be extremely cautious. We have been downwind of this for the last few hours, and at one point the smoke got so thick and the wind came directly at us that as we were gathering information, we had to put on these gas masks when it got the most intense. It's died down a lot since then. That chemical smell that was in the air has also dissipated, but residents downwind are still being urged to be extremely cautious. The shelter in place has been lifted. For a while, that was the area east of Main Lane, west of Nanaimo, and north of First Ave. The shelter in place means to close all windows and doors. That has now been lifted, but everyone in that area, downwind especially, is being urged to be extra careful. Now, in the area around the fire earlier, there are a lot of businesses, a lot of residents too, so the workers were told they were given a little bit of time to get out while they could get home. It'd be a lot easier for them to get out of the area then than having to stay inside for a few hours and then try to leave. So they were allowed to leave. Residents were told to go inside and once again close their doors and windows. It has dissipated a lot since then, but they're still urged to be extremely cautious. Do not come down to this area unless you have to. If you do go outside and you do smell that chemical smell or feel a little burning in your lungs and chest, definitely put a towel, put a scarf, put a jacket over your mouth, the nose if you have to. Now, we spoke to a lot of these residents who are leaving, and this is what they had to say.
I just know there's a chemical fire. I don't know what the chemical is or anything like that.
It's basically about 50 feet away from us, I want to say, and it's blowing right in our direction. So with us in our 16-foot windows, it makes sense to be evacuating at this point.
Well, it was a small plume to begin with, hardly anything, and then one fire truck shows up, and then a little while later, another fire truck shows up, and then it just keeps getting bigger.
I drove around the corner, and I heard all these ambulances and fire trucks, and I didn't really know what was going on, but I talked to one of the police officers, and he said that there was an explosion.
Oh, yeah, it smells really bad.
What does it smell like?
It's acid, I think. That's what I heard. It's one of
like
the
a tire
acid.
smell.
Yeah.
It's like a tire smell?
Yeah, tire smell. Yeah.
Like melting tires?
Yeah.
Oh, terrible. Oh, man, it's just terrible. When you breathe it just hit your lungs, and you could hardly breathe.
Scott, I know that people that were in the way of the plume of smoke as it was heading towards them were trying to track it on social media and finding out in the media what was going on. But how were others being told to get out of their homes and close their windows or at least stay inside along with the businesses as well?
Yeah, they were hearing directly from police officers who were patrolling the area. We saw a number of police officers in their vehicles, also on motorcycles. They had gas masks on at the time, and everyone that was on the street, they were going up to them, they were stopping them and saying, get out of here, go inside, or get out of the area. A lot of businesses that we talked to, a lot of workers that came down said that, you know, their bosses, their CEOs were coming in and saying, okay, police are advising us to leave. Now's a good time to leave so that we're not stuck inside the rest of the evening or until the shelter in place was lifted, as it was just a short time ago. Now, those without housing downtown here in the downtown east side especially, there are options for them as well. If you don't have housing in the downtown east side, people living in the area are urged to go to the Carnegie Center, the Evelyn Saller Center, or the Union Gospel Mission. Also, all VPL branches and community centers in the area will remain open as well for residents to go. If you are feeling that lingering effects of the chemical smell in your chest or in your throat or in your nose, you're urged to go to one of those branches or just get out of the area completely. Mike?
Good advice. Thanks, Scott. Live on the Powell Street overpass.
Well, a key question people are asking right across Vancouver and even into Burnaby and Coquitlam, what is the chemical that's burning in this fire? Mi-Jung Lee is live near the port. And Mi-Jung, this chemical has a long name.
It does, and I've been trying to practice it all afternoon. Trichlorocyanuric acid, or TCC. And it's an industrial disinfectant. It's used to treat water. It's used in swimming pools. And the effects can be similar to if you're exposed to bleach. Now, I did speak to some workers who were here this afternoon, and early this afternoon, they first detected a smell that was similar to chlorine, and then that's when they detected the smoke coming out of one of the containers. So we spoke to the Chief Medical Health Officer, Dr. Patricia Daly, about some of the symptoms that can come from being exposed to this acid.
It can irritate the respiratory tract, so people might start coughing, might experience some difficulty breathing. It can also irritate the eyes. As I mentioned, it might be like swimming in a chlorinated pool. So people who are within the plume of smoke from the fire might notice those effects.
Now, the good thing is that the effects are short term. So when the chemical smoke is not in the air anymore, your symptoms will go away. But, you know, earlier in the afternoon, Here, this is a warehouse district. A lot of people working in these buildings were getting out at 4:30 or 5, and we saw that police cars were driving up and down Railway Avenue on their bullhorns, telling people, get home or get inside, close your windows. There was a cyclist who was heading east up Railway, but the police officer said, no, turn around and go the other way, because the smoke was heading east when the fire was raging this afternoon. So a lot of workers were glued to their windows this afternoon watching this fire and watching the firefighters trying to put out this stubborn blaze. And as you can see, the air tankers are still there, the 3 of them going strong all afternoon. Thankfully, though, it looks like they have gotten the situation under control. And as we said, because the symptoms will go away once the chemical is dissipated in the air as well. So that is good news for sure. Tamara?
All right, thanks for this update, Mijung.
All right, I want to bring in meteorologist Michael Koos now. As Scott mentioned earlier, Michael, the wind playing a big factor when it comes to all that smoke.
Yeah, it sure has been. The wind, for the most part, all afternoon long, Mike, was blowing out of the west-southwest. So that is pushing the smoke into East Vancouver, up toward Capitol Hill and in through Burnaby. This is what we're looking at with that cloud cover rolling in, and that's actually obscuring a little bit of the remaining smoke. The temperature at 5 degrees, but the big story, the shift in the wind direction. Now moving out of the north-northwest, just 6 kilometers per hour, so quite light. Now, over the next 2 hours, we will once again see a wind direction shift. So currently, we're going to see the small amounts of smoke that still exist moving down through southern parts of East Vancouver. As we get into the evening, around 8 p.m., the winds are going to be more north-northeasterly, and that pushes the remaining smoke back toward downtown. Mike, Tamara?
Thanks for tracking that, Michael.
Well, Julie Nolan is in CTV's Chopper 9. Julie, how is the fire affecting traffic and public transportation, and what are you seeing up there now?
Well, Tamara, first of all, you can see from the air all that immense manpower going into fighting this fire. Fireboats have been also pumping water to help knock it down. And of course, you can see that toxic smoke still traveling east. And from here in Chopper 9, we can see just how delicate the situation has been as firefighters try to snuff out what's left to smolder. Traffic is still being blocked, and we can see a heavy police presence through this area. No trains are moving, so West Coast Express trains are canceled, and special bus service has been put into place. CB Rail is also not running any of its trains. The C-Bus is far enough away, so it continues to run. Again, a huge effort by crews to get an upper hand on this toxic fire, while some smoke is still moving east. Tamara?
Okay, thank you, Julie.
Well, Chopper 9 and our camera crews aren't the only ones capturing images of this fire. Witnesses are using social media to post pictures and video and to share information. Our Norma Reed is watching that part of the story from our breaking news center tonight. Norma, what are you seeing?
Well, Mike, not just photos, also video like this one right here. We've heard it was taken by a worker at the port, and this obviously at the very early stages of this fire. You can see the smoke pouring from that container and just spreading. Our viewers out there also sent us a ton of photos. They're coming to us from all over the place, including as far away as West Vancouver and as close as people right next to that fire in the downtown east side. Now, something else we're seeing a lot on social media is police asking people not to call 911 for just information about this fire. They don't want those lines clogged up. There are several accounts that you can get useful information from. So here's who you need to be following tonight. At City of Vancouver, that's the official account of the city. At Vancouver PD, that's the police department. At Van Fire Rescue, obviously, is the fire department. At Port Metro Van, this obviously is the port's official feed. And at Emergency Info BC, this is the account from the provincial government for Emergency Prep BC. And finally, at VCH Healthcare. That's Vancouver Coastal Health. So in case you have to leave your TV and your phone is the only way that you can get information through social media, those are the key accounts that will bring you the latest accurate information. Guys?
Okay, Norma, thank you.
We should remind people, too, you can follow at CTV Vancouver for information coming from our Twitter account. Well, CTV breaking news coverage of the chemical fire in Vancouver's port continues in 60 seconds. Well, returning now to our top story, a large chemical fire on the Vancouver waterfront that's been burning for hours, sending dangerous smoke across most of the city.
CTV's Penny Daflos is live at the north end of Main Street. Penny, what's the latest from your vantage point there?
Mike, we're still seeing steady progress here at the fire. There are still 3 jets of water that are being directed onto the single container that caught fire earlier this afternoon. The smoke, you can still see it there. There's still some smoke, but I can tell you it's much better than what it was earlier. And here's another encouraging sign. I don't know if you can see the moon there. Earlier, the smoke would have been so thick that we wouldn't have been able to see that far. But as you can see, it's still incredibly hazy. A lot of smoke throughout the area. I'm going to show you a map now of what Vancouver Police and the City of Vancouver. This is the area that they were telling people to shelter inside, to try to avoid being outside, stay indoors, close windows, shelter their mouths because of the intensity of the smoke. They were calling that a shelter-in-place order.
Well, we'll be right back with the story of a local credit card factory that's been shut down by police. Stay with us. The RCMP has shut down what it calls a sophisticated credit card factory operating out of Port Coquitlam. As CTV's Lisa Rossington reports, the fake cards were apparently made using information from stolen mail.
Citadel Heights in Port Coquitlam. Since January, there have been over 80 cases of property crime. Homes and businesses have been broken into. Dozens of community mailboxes ransacked. And police say the man who they believe is behind the crime wave, Alvin Chand, lives here too. The RCMP says this is what they recently found in Chand's house: weapons, equipment for making fake credit cards, and stolen mail.
We have mail from Surrey, Delta, Langley,
721 pieces of mail and over 300 stolen IDs. The RCMP believes Chand used drugs and stolen property to pay others for stealing mail so he could make fake credit cards. The RCMP says this isn't the first time they've searched and seized stolen goods from Chand's house. In 2013, Chand was given a 1-year jail term.
Mr. Chand was not afraid of the judicial system, in our opinion.
Police say Chand had teamed up with convicted thief Justin Roach.
I've set up cameras. I see stuff going on. This mailbox has been hit a couple of times. And
residents are fed up and have resorted to setting up security cameras to try and catch the mail thieves.
Confirming that this is your son, Alvin?
Yeah. At Alvin Chand's home, his mother insisted her son is innocent.
I think he had few friends that was kicked out from his home, and they had stuff stored here. That's why he's in trouble.
Chand and Roach are facing dozens of charges. Lisa Rossington, CTV News, Vancouver.
We are learning more tonight about the men charged in a fatal stabbing outside a SkyTrain station. Police say the victim, James Enright, died when he tried to help a friend who was involved in an argument. As John Woodward reports, the accused killers are both well-known local athletes.
Taituzi Vikalani plays 8-man for the Burnaby Lake Rugby Club. The 18-year-old shows a lot of promise.
He's probably going to be, in the future, one of the best players in Canada.
Teammates say he's a former MVP from a big rugby family. They call the 230-pound player a good guy.
He's just Tootsie. He's just one of the boys and great rugby player, and yeah. It's just one of the family here.
That's why news Vikalani is one of 2 men charged in the death of James Enright comes as a surprise. Police say Enright was stabbed when he stepped in to help a friend in an altercation at Edmonds SkyTrain station on February 15th.
This is a man who was innocent, got caught up in a situation and died, and while it's tragic.
22-year-old Jesse Selim was charged with second-degree murder in the case. Records show the former Moscrop secondary student doesn't have any previous criminal charges. Selim played soccer. His dad coached a team.
All I can tell you is that it's a tragedy.
Vikalani is a grade 12 student at Burnaby Central Secondary. Students there are just as shocked.
I don't think so. I don't think he's not that kind of person. He might be a big guy, scary-looking guy, but he's a good guy.
He seems pretty nice. I didn't think he would be doing that.
I don't think that he could have been part of this. Seems like a nice guy, yeah.
Both Vikalani and Selim remain in custody until at least the next hearing, scheduled for March 10th. John Woodward, CTV News, Burnaby.
A manhunt is underway outside of Victoria after what police call a random attack on a jogger. As Binder Sudjan reports, the woman in her 20s was running on a popular trail when she was knocked unconscious.
A
A crime scene expanded this morning as Mounties searched for clues in a violent and random assault.
This woman was simply out jogging, minding her own business, and was just unfortunately attacked.
It makes us stop and think.
The victim was ambushed around 7 last night while on a well-traveled path near Glen Lake. Joyce Wright lives nearby.
There were a lot of policemen there and police cars parked and lights on the park.
That fence by that police cruiser, well, beyond that is where officers say the attack happened. A man stopped a woman, asked her for the time, and then somehow she was knocked unconscious. That's not all. After knocking her out, police say the suspect then robbed the 23-year-old.
What did you think when you heard that?
Violated.
RCMP got a call for help about an hour later.
She was able to regain consciousness and was able to walk away from the scene and seek help.
Officers say the woman was not sexually assaulted but was left with bruises, and whoever jumped her is still out there. With a manhunt underway, investigators are armed with just a basic description.
An adult male wearing a jacket that made a squishy sound and also was wearing gloves.
The warning to others: walk in pairs and only in well-lit areas. Binder Sudjan, CTV News, Langford.
DNA evidence has led to the arrest of a Langley man accused of a series of violent sexual assaults. RCMP say 22-year-old Kevin Sharp sexually assaulted a sex worker in Langley last October, just days before attacking another woman in Surrey. But before those incidents, last May, they say Sharp walked into a woman's home in Langley and sexually assaulted her in her bedroom. DNA from that attack was linked to the first one in Surrey.
Coming up next, how to protect your family and your home.
Those are best detected by alarms with ionization sensors.
Is your home protected with the right kind of fire alarm? What every family should know. And later...
So that's Dan over there in the far corner, the yogi of the table. On the last word tonight, peace, tranquility, and emotional diagnosis through ping pong.
This is CTV News.
And we return now to our top story, a massive chemical fire at the Port of Vancouver.
CTV's Penny Dufflos has been on the scene since the fire began. She joins us now from the north end of Main Street. Penny.
Tamara, I'm just about to give you the latest update on what's happening there. I've got Assistant Chief Ron Colson. He's the safety chief for Vancouver Fire Rescue. Chief, what's the latest that you can tell us right now?
Well, as you can see from behind us, the fire has diminished significantly, and we've been able to release quite a few crews and apparatus because of that. And we're starting to reposition our stick aerials that are doing a defensive attack on the containers themselves so that we can start moving. The port is there. They're going to start moving some of the containers away from the container that's affected by fire so that we can actually get at it a lot more effectively.
Any indication so far about what caused this?
No, it's way too early in the incident itself to determine exactly what the cause is. It's going to take some time before we can get close enough and actually right probably in that container to check it out.
Well, hard to believe, but daylight saving starts this weekend, the time firefighters remind us to check our smoke detectors.
Yeah, and with good cause. Linda, hundreds of people are killed each year in residential fires.
Hundreds of people, and smoke detectors can really save lives. There's a lot on the market right now, and some are better than others. So tonight we've got the latest consumer testing on smoke detectors to see which ones work the best.
In a home fire, the risk of dying is cut in half if you have a working smoke alarm. But National Fire Protection Association statistics found that alarms only sounded in half of the home fires reported to fire departments between 2007 and 2011. Bernie Dietrich tests smoke alarms for Consumer Reports. In this chamber, he creates fires to see how quickly alarms respond.
And still to come tonight on CTV News at 6, The Last Word with Mike McCardle.
All right, let's bring in meteorologist Michael Koos in the CTV Weather Center. Michael.
Hey guys, some cloud covers creeping in. Wind remains very, very light, and as I mentioned earlier, it is shifting around now out of the north-northwest and becoming northerly northeasterly, but quite light in the 5 to maximum 7 or 8 kilometer per hour range. Here's some of that cloud that we are getting filtering toward Vancouver.
Well, supporters of a drug and alcohol treatment home are bracing for another round tonight with a group of angry North Vancouver residents.
CTV's Peter Peter Granger looks into what this kind of program has to offer patients and the community.
The Turning Point Recovery Home in Richmond looks like any other house on the street, but inside you'll find a highly structured living arrangement where 9 men at a time are recovering from addictions under supervision 24/7. 80% of the male clients Turning Point treats are white, between 35 and 45, fighting addictions to alcohol and or cocaine.
You know what? It's about changing lives, and when you see that there's a difference being made here, it's good for the heart.
I mean, I tried many times by myself.
One young man who has changed his life is Jeremiah Clark. He came to Turning Point addicted to crack. After 2 years here, Clark is clean, so much so he's now studying to be an addictions counselor himself.
I'm taking steps in my future that I've never taken prior to, coming into a place like this.
The info session held by Turning Point in North Vancouver 2 weeks ago for a proposed recovery home overflowed with angry residents. Eventually, the session had to be shut down.
Our clients are very internally motivated to come here. They aren't being ordered here. They aren't being told they have to come here or you'll lose your job or you'll lose your family. They come here because they recognize they need to make fundamental changes in their lives and that they need help doing that.
Jeremiah Clark says Turning Point Society became his turning point. He thanks the neighbors around the home, too, who have been open and accepting. He believes they helped speed up and secure his recovery. Peter Granger, CTV News, Richmond.
All right, and Perry's here now.
Yeah, lots going on in your world and in my world too. It's official. The Vancouver City Council has voted unanimously to rename a stretch of Abbott Street in honor of beloved hockey legend Pat Quinn. City staff reports that Quinn's family had already approved the plan, which will see the block of Abbott between Pacific and Expo renamed Pat Quinn Way. He coached 280 games with the Canucks, also served as the team's general manager and president. Quinn died at Vancouver General Hospital in late November after an undisclosed illness. So
that's what his family was hoping for? Yes, yeah, that's great. Good stuff. Thank you, Perry. Lots more to come. We'll be back right after this. Stay with us. I want to recap our top story for you tonight. A large chemical fire at the Port of Vancouver. It's been sending heavy smoke across parts of the city all afternoon. It appears to be dying down right now. This is a live shot right now from CTV's Chopper 9 of Port Metro Vancouver. As you can see, crews are still dousing the smoke containers. And this is what it looked like earlier today when the flames broke out inside a container holding a chemical similar to bleach. That happened at about 2 o'clock. The plume sending toxic smoke, triggering evacuations and warnings for people downwind to stay inside and close their windows. Rail operations have also been shut down as a precaution. The West Coast Express, which stopped running earlier this evening, will be back up and running, we're told, in just a few minutes. Well, when you think of ways to relax, playing ping pong probably isn't the first thing that comes to mind.
Mike McArdle has the last word on how to turn a popular pastime into a better state of mind.
He used to play barefoot until they said no. Yogis don't wear shoes, but they do follow the rules. Yogis also get things out of little things, like the sound of the ball.
The sound of it, the way you hear it that day, tells me a lot about how I'm doing this day.
So how are you doing?
Today, could be better.
You've heard of the life of pi. Well, this is the life of ping. What Dan finds in a ball is what most of us search for in our own lives.
It makes me feel peaceful. That's in the ball. It makes me feel peaceful. And I like to do yoga, and this game is also sort of a yoga dance.
He says, like the yin and the yang, this is a delicate balance.
Well, you want to win, but beating the other guy is not what you want.
No?
No. If you get better, you get him to be better too.
That's kind of like what all religious leaders and philosophers say, except Dan found it with a paddle, even if he has to wear shoes.
Being kind to them, but I'm not losing. I'm not a sucker, okay? I want to win very badly. But my winning is by making the shot, the impossible shot. Save a ball that couldn't be saved. I got it. And they will lose maybe because of it. So my point is to win myself, not the other guy. Yes.
And even though Dan didn't feel very good today, he did win all his games. Although he didn't beat anybody else. Mike McArdle, CTV News.
Don't be shy.
It's a tough game.
Love ping.
Great game.
I love it too, but it's tough.
Yes, it's a stress reliever.
It is.
Even though he says
All right,
yes.
well, tonight on CTV at Z-Talk, The Big Bang Theory, Arrow, Criminal Minds, CSI Cyber, followed by CTV National News with Lisa LaFlamme and CTV News at 11:30 with Norma Reed. She will have a complete summary of the fire in Vancouver's port.
5:30 tomorrow morning, CTV Morning Live with Carrie and Brent.
Thanks for sharing part of your evening with us. We hope you have a great night.
Good night.
We'll see you a little later.